It's time now for an in-depth look at markets around the world, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, a global strategist at Kiwoom Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, lots of things adding to uncertainty right now, including U.S. bond yields and the escalating protests in Hong Kong. On Wall Street overnight, the Dow was down 1.5% and the Nasdaq 1%. What's the story today?
Yes, with the Hong Kong protests continuing and the U.S.-China dispute lingering around for a long period of time, the U.S. 10-year bond rate have fallen to lows of 1.65%. The previous historic low was 1.45%, so it's not that far away. And this is a problem because if you look at the 10 years and 2 years rate differential, has fallen to the 6 to 7 basis points, which is lowest in decades. And some people are saying that this is signs of recession or potential signs of recession in the future. Now, due to that, obviously, Dow was down 1.5%, Nasdaq was down more than 1%. This was followed by most of the other Asian markets as well. Hong Kong falling by more than 1.5%, China falling by 0.6%, Shenzhen index was down 0.9%. Also, Nikkei continued to fall by over 1.1%. Korea also was falling by 0.85%. The Kosdaq was down 0.6%. A little bit less than most of the economies, but nevertheless, the trend seems to continue to be concerned about global recession.
Well, now, as expected, the Korean government has decided to take Japan off its whitelist now. Japan will be put in a new category of export countries, which means it'll face a tougher approval process. What happened here? What does this mean for trade between the two sides?
Sure. As you said, on the 12th of August, the Korean government excluded Japan from the list of the white countries, so the export procedure preferential countries. The Korean government believes that this measure will be conducted in accordance with the legal procedures in both domestic and international law, and it will not affect the future process with WTO. The minister, Song, held a briefing on that day and announced that import-export strategic materials with purpose of subdividing the strategic export areas into 3 and applying strict restrictions for Japan, strict standards. However, in the announcement, the detailed export control items was not disclosed. Clearly, this is escalating the trade dispute between these two countries, which might affect the supply chains of the global IT segment. Definitely not just U.S. and China, but now Korea and Japan, affecting negatively to the global trade, which could cause additional concerns for the global economic recession in the future.
Well, now in terms of exchange rates, the Korean won now has broken through the 12.20 mark against the U.S. dollar. What's driving this? What should we make of this, and where is it going?
Yes, I think that it really depends on what happens to Chinese renminbi, yuan trend. If you look at the current renminbi, it is at 7.1 level. It broke through the psychological barrier of 7. And that has affected also Korean won breaking through above 1,200 level. If you look at the historical trend of these two currencies, they pretty much move in tandem. As the Chinese renminbi depreciates, Korean won depreciates as well because of their interrelationship on the trade side. Now, the commander-in-chief of NATO, James, predicted that the current Hong Kong protest could hurt the U.S.-China trade negotiations. And if this continues and that U.S. has to respond if the China uses the military to suppress the protesters, that will cause the renminbi to depreciate even further, and which will affect also Korean won to depreciate further to a 12.20 level or even more. Now, currently, all this issue about the trade dispute is making the movement quite unpredictable at this point in time.
Yeah, we'll have to keep watching that. All right, Mr. Yu, thank you for your time this afternoon. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you very much.